Good evening, everyone. Julia O'Hara and Dr. Andy Johnson here with USF Housing and Residential Education. We're here to answer all of your questions about move-in. So type your questions in the comments and we'll answer you live. Hi, Dr. Johnson. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. We got the countdown going. I am so excited to start having residents back on campus. So
just a few
it's
days
that time
now.
of year.
Yes. So we're hard at work preparing, and I have lots of questions for you tonight, as I'm sure the audience does as well. So you ready to jump into them?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay. So to start, let's talk about the first step in this whole process, which is signing up for a move-in appointment. So when are the different move-in appointments, and how do you sign up for one?
So great question. So I think the biggest thing that we have is we have move-in appointments starting on Sunday, going through the following Sunday. So that is the 16th through the 23rd. We have a variety of different times available, but most of the time slots all of our time slots are 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. and then 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. And every resident must sign up for a time slot so that we can be prepared to welcome you and make sure that we have a safe environment for everyone to move in. So it's very, very important that everyone signs up. Now, the most important way to do that is you're going to do it through your housing portal. If you go ahead and you log into your housing portal, you can choose the time slot that works for you and your family and go ahead and get that locked in. I will tell you, though, that on Saturday the 22nd, we are already full. So we're going to need families and residents to take a look at some other time slots. Thursday is getting very full as well, but we still have a lot of availability on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And so if those days work for you, then and you are looking for a very low volume move-in, then those are your days. So I would recommend that you take a look at some of those three options. But we still have plenty of spots available on some of the other days, but those are probably our lowest three right now. So.
Great. That's good advice. Good information, too. So if you've already signed up for a move-in appointment, can you go and change yours? And how do you go about doing that if you can?
Absolutely. You know, we understand that life circumstances change, dynamics change in your household, whatever your circumstances are. So you can absolutely go into your housing portal, go right back into the move-in sign-up selection page, and you can select a new time. But as soon as you start that process, then you are going to give up your other one. So just keep that in mind as you're making those decisions. So know in advance that you are going to change it and what date you're going to change it. So like I said, the only 2 days that we really have a lot of or very limited capacity is Thursday. And then unfortunately, Saturday, the 23rd, everything has already been booked up. So.
Okay, great. Thank you. And so the next question, how many people can come with you during your move-in appointment?
Right, great question. So just like we did with Move Out in the spring, we are limiting it to 2 individuals to come assist you in the move-in process. That allows us for safe navigation through the residence halls and around campus and maintaining just our good social distancing spaces of at least 6 feet. And so if you limit it to 2, that's where we need to draw the line. Then plenty of help to help you as well as to get you set up. So even when you're traveling in the elevator, we ask that you stick to just your party. That will help ensure some social distancing and maintaining that safe environment. So limited 2, but we understand that sometimes people need to bring 3 or 4 because you have younger siblings and things like that. What we just ask is that you leave one individual in a car or in a space that is properly social distanced. So it could be in a picnic area or somewhere else in campus where there's not a lot of foot traffic. And you can switch out. So if older brother and mom are helping move in and dad is kind of hanging back, and then dad switches out with mom to bring up some heavy stuff, completely okay to switch in and out, but limit it to just 2 people entering the building with the resident at any time.
Thank you for that. That answers one of our first questions from Victoria. If your parents are helping you move in, but you have a younger sibling that they don't want to leave at home, can the sibling come, or is that not permitted? So what you just explained, cycling in, taking turns going into the residence halls, that answers Victoria's question, I believe.
See, Victoria, I knew you were going to ask that, so I was already ready.
Very nice. So Christine's asking, after we move the students in during their appointment time, are parents still allowed to stay on campus? Are we permitted to go into the Marshall Center or the bookstore? That's a great question because we do specify that after your move-in time slot, you do need to leave the residence hall. But to Christine's question, are you allowed to stay on campus?
We understand that some folks are going to have different university business items that they need to take care of. A lot of the offices are still open. There are social distancing guidelines and markers throughout campus that are in place. So I imagine that yes, you can still stay on campus getting your business items done. But as soon as you're able to depart, once you've gotten everything done, we would ask that you go ahead and do that. Please bear in mind, though, that a lot of our staff, because USF is just now entering phase 2, is still operating at 50%. And so a lot of staff and are still working remotely. And so there may not be everything open. So some things still may need to be done or completed through phone or email or some other communication method. So.
All right. Thank you. And Bobby is asking for clarification on what you talked about earlier. What move-in days are busy again, and what days have the most availability?
Yeah, so most availability is going to be Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We're very, very low in numbers on those days, and so I think overall maybe there's about 150 people each day moving in, so a lot of availability in there. But on Thursday is very close to capacity, and Saturday, the 22nd, is already at capacity, and so no more slots available on Saturday. This was as of probably a couple hours ago. Maybe a few slots available on Thursday still, but if you have the ability to come in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, that's a great time to do it. So.
Perfect. So we are getting some questions about specifically where do you go when you arrive and where do you park. So we have some great visuals today that we're going to walk through. Andy, if you do want to share your screen and we can talk about checking in. So as you mentioned, the check-in appointments are the 16th through the 21st will be a drive-through process at the Yingling Center. And then the 22nd and 23rd will be at the service desks. So let's talk about the 16th through the 21st, arriving to campus. Can you walk us through that with this wonderful map in front of you?
Absolutely. So one of the things I want to mention about all the maps before we really get started is that these maps are available on our move-in website. They are in the go specifically to usf.edu/housing. And the very top header that we have is our move-in information. You click on that banner and kind of scroll through all of our moving information, and you will find this information there. And so everything we talk about today should be on our move-in page, just in case you miss anything.
Andy, that's a great point. Andy, and to go off of that too, we just created a shortcut to the move-in map specifically. So if you are looking just for your zone map, just for move-in maps, and don't want to go through the whole page, you go all the way down to the page. On the bottom right, you'll see move-in maps, and you can click it right there and go straight to choose your map.
Beautiful. See, right there. So one of the first things we want you to do is we want you to come in off of Fowler Avenue. That is the main entrance to campus. It's beautiful. It's got tree canopies, and it leads into just an amazing front plaza that then you can just kind of really start to take in the campus. But the first thing you're going to do is going to make a right-hand turn, and I'm going to go ahead and do a little zoom in here to this area because this is where we're specifically going to be talking about. So just for orientation, this is Fowler Avenue. This is ISA. Many of you may have taken your tour of campus with admissions out of this building. So this is kind of where we're at. So here's the library, the College of Business, or the Mooma College of Business, excuse me. So what we're going to ask you to do is come in off of Fowler, and you're going to make that right-hand turn on Alumni Drive. We will have a couple of different messaging boards that will be out there helping you to get to the Yingling Center. So just watch for those. But once you turn right onto Alumni, you're going to stay straight all the way until it dead ends here at Bull Run. As you kind of navigate through this area, we'll also have some our university police officers there to help answer any questions and make sure that traffic is flowing smoothly. So you head in that direction, you're going the right way. Then you're going to take a left onto Bull Run, and then a yet left into the Yingling Center parking lot. We will have signs out on the front. Make sure that you don't get lost. But as you kind of navigate through that area, this will get you queued up and into the lot. Once you get into the drive-through lot, we're going to move you into a kind of a stacked position. And so we're going to load up lanes of cars. And what we're going to do at our very first station is that we're going to have our volunteers, and they are assigned into different teams. So green, gold, and silver. And they will meet you at your car. They're going to have a little sign on a stick, and it will say, please leave your window up. And one of the reasons we're doing that is for social distancing. We're trying to make a contactless process as much as we possibly can. And it will ask for your state issued ID. And so that could be a passport, that could be a driver's license, it could be your home state's official ID card issued by your state, or some other government form of identification with a photo on it. At that point, we will go back to our team members under some tents. We will come back with a rear view mirror hanging tag, and that will have on there your name, your U number, and your room assignment information. And what we're going to ask is that you hang that into your rear view mirror facing outward, so our other team members can easily identify you and make sure that we move you through our process as quickly as possible. So after you do that, you wait for further instructions, and we will then unload an entire lane and move it down to and I'm going to use my cursor here a little bit. So we're going to move it down into this lower south side and then up into to the ID and key queue. And so our colleagues, as we get up to here, our colleagues and volunteers will be there to review your name tag. We'll go ahead and get your key, your USF ID card if you have already submitted your photo through online. We'll have it printed and ready for you, and we'll issue you all of those things at one time, and then any information that you need to get to your unloading zones. So hopefully it's going to be a very quick process. We're going to have folks in their air conditioning and enjoying a little family time before we get through everything. But our goal is to get you through as safely and as quickly as possible. So that's the kind of the first little bit as we move through the queuing up process and the check-in process.
And thank you for that, Andy. That's great. We do have a question that pertains to this section from Marisol, and then also Elise is asking a similar question. Moving in on the 16th, this is from Marisol, and we'll have 2 cars. So do both cars go through the line when students pick up the school ID and the check-in process? So that's one and the same. So what should people do when they have 2 cars coming?
Great. So very, very important, the vehicle with the resident in it. So the person who's going to be attending USF and moving in, that's the vehicle that needs to be in the check-in queue. It's very, very important because we cannot issue any keys or any IDs if the student is not physically present. We have to issue it to that person. And so what I could suggest is that depending on where your unloading zone is or where you're going to be living, you may want to talk to your family member in the second vehicle or your friend or your loved one or whoever's accompanying you and start them in the path of getting into their loading zone area. So that would be my recommendation, and make sure that you get into a place where you can easily find each other, because a lot of people moving around on campus, it's easy to quickly get lost in the crowd. And so make sure that you kind of have a plan in place in advance. So that would be near your unloading zone.
For sure. That's good advice to have that communication. So that does answer Elisa's question. I wanted to point out that can we bring more than one car if it's needed to move everything in? Yes, of course. Just make sure that only one and the one with the resident in the car is going through the check-in process. Also, a viewer is asking how and when do we pick up our USF IDs since these are required to move in. So I do want to just reiterate what you said, Andy, that if you ordered it ahead of time and submitted your photo ahead of time, and you are arriving between the 16th and the 21st, you will be able to pick it up in this drive-through process. If you are arriving the 15th, the 22nd, or the 23rd, the card center will have hours from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. where you can go pick it up if you've done what you need to ahead of time. and the location and those hours are listed on that move-in webpage that Andy referred to in the beginning of the show. So just wanted to throw that out there for the viewers that are asking questions around that.
That's great. Thank you.
Absolutely. So we have a couple of more questions that are pertaining to what we're talking about here. Christine is asking, do we have to wait to go through the check-in process until the start of our appointment time?
So great question, Christine. Thank you for asking it. So one of the things that we're going to do is that we will open the lot at 8 a.m. and we will start lining folks up. Our check-in times don't start till 9, but we will do our best to start it as soon as we possibly can and as soon as we are ready to start moving folks through it. So if it is that we're ready to go at 8:45, we're not going to make you wait until 9 o'clock. We will get you started at 8:45, but as soon as we can possibly get folks through the line, we will. So that way you can get moved in as quickly as possible.
Great. And Bobby is asking if there's a second vehicle. Do we need a parking hang tag? Can we request it at the Yuengling Center and bring it to the second vehicle? So we're going to go through parking when we get to the unloading zone. So that's actually a great segue if we do want to. Well, before I guess we get off of this map, we should talk about the check-in for the 22nd and 23rd folks, correct, at the service desks.
Yes, but I think also too what Bobby's asking is, will the second vehicle need the hang tag further down
I see.
the line? No, Bobby. The vehicle is one of the ways that we can maintain the contactless or as minimal contact as possible with the vehicle is checking in. So we would probably just ask that you keep it in your hanging on your vehicle through the day. But after that, no. So family members or loved ones or whoever is helping you, they will not need one to help you move in. So
great. Thanks for answering that too. So we've gone through officially getting to the Yuengling Center, getting through and getting your key. This is for the 16th through the 21st. So now when you're arriving on the 22nd or 23rd, or the 15th, if you're arriving early with the Bull Hall Welcome Wagon program, can we go through where the service desks are and how to get to those?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually want to make one more comment before we move on that, is that we know that some folks are not arriving by their vehicles, right? They may be arriving by airplane, or maybe a friend is dropping them off, or whatever their situation is. And so in those instances, in the move-in sign-up form online, in the housing portal, there is a space for alternative transportation. And so if you are arriving in alternative transportation, we ask that you mark that box so that we can better prepare you at the service desk. And so now transitioning into your question of not only the 22nd and 23rd, but also the folks that are arriving via alternative transportation. On this map as well, the team has done a really excellent job of marking all of our service desk locations. So Holly M is one of our service desk locations, as well as the hub, and down on the south side, Juniper Poplar. And so what we would ask is anybody who's arriving on the 22nd, 23rd, or arriving via alternate transportation to head directly to their service desk areas. So the hub services Beacon Hall, Horizon Hall, Summit Hall, Pinnacle Hall, and Endeavor Hall. So basically this entire corner of campus is serviced from the hub. Holly M services Greek Village, Cypress, Holly Complex, and our Argos Complex, as well as the Maple A and Maple B. So those are the different areas and how they service each other. So one of the things that we'll have on there, and I know a lot of students ask about this, is can I get a cart? And yes, we will have carts available. We have our Bull Hall Welcome Wagon folks that are volunteering and committing their time to helping in this process. They will be in Cypress E, which is right up here. They will be in Holly L, right down here, right across from the service desk in Holly M. Holly J, and then down on the south side of campus in JPH. So, so I'm gonna just kind of scroll down here a little bit and show you that. So.
And Andy, while we're on this subject, we do have a question from Jackie asking, if we're moving in on the 15th and don't have IDs, we need to wait until at least 10 a.m. to move in because that is when the ID office opens. So I just wanted to clarify that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Andy, but to check in, you are required a government-issued photo ID, so you don't necessarily have to have your USF ID card to check in. So if you are arriving on the 15th, you can use a driver's license, a permit, passport. Is that correct?
We can get you checked in. The problem is that you won't be able to swipe into your building until you have your USF ID. So it would probably be easier for you if you did wait until 10 a.m. You could start at the card office over in the Student Services building, which is right here, which is directly across from the bookstore and the Marshall Student Center, and their office can help you get your ID. That way, when you come over to your service desk location, then you can you would just be able to go right in to your hall once you get your key. So, but I imagine that's because moving in because of Bull Hall. Bull Hall moves in on the 15th, correct?
Right. That's correct. Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks for clarifying that. So as we talk about the Bull Hall Welcome Wagon program and carts, Elisa's asking, is it recommended to bring your own dolly or cart to move things in quickly? That's a great question. So do we want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's always a great idea if you have it available at home or you can borrow one to bring an extra dolly or cart. It definitely makes the process move a lot faster. I think, though, if you do not have that, then we will have carts available. Please just know that we have a limited number of carts available. We do need to sanitize carts in between the time they are returned and the time that they are able to be checked back out. And so that does create a little bit of a delay because of some safety protocols through our environmental health and safety office that we've been trained on. And so so there may be a little bit of a delay in being able to check them back out. So even though when you walk into one of the areas in which we have carts and you're like, well, there's a whole pile of them, it may be that they're going through the sanitation process. And so to go back to your question, yes, we will. You can certainly bring your carts with you. But we will also have carts available, and we'll be issuing those out as quickly as we possibly can. So.
Great point. Thank you. So we are now through the check-in, and let's talk about unloading zones. So if you want to move into Zone 1, that map, Andy, we can talk about after you're checking in on the 16th through the 21st, this is the route that you'll be taking from the Yingling Center over to your unloading zone for, I believe this is the Village and Cypress. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah.
That's gonna be it's gonna be lot 56. So once you finish up getting your keys and getting ready to move in, then we will go ahead and move you down along Alumni. There will be cones that help direct you, as well as a police officer here to help keep the traffic moving. And so, but you will just follow the yellow brick road right here all the way up until we get to lot 56. And you see as we'll enter here off of USF Genshaft, which is named after our beloved former president who just recently retired, Dr. Judy Genshaft. And so so you'll move right down USF Genshaft Drive onto Dogwood and through and into this parking lot right here. When you get to this parking lot, there are 3 sides here that we've asked our colleagues over at Parking and Transportation to make unloading zones. And so there will be signs there. They will be designating those outer perimeter spaces to help you move in. And so our folks over that are living in Cypress and Cypress C, you'll have space over here, as well as all of our friends who are living over in the Village. They will have spaces along here as well. What we would ask is that once you unload your vehicle as quickly as you can, to please move it into a different zone other than an unloading zone. So something with a more permanent parking space. There are a number of spaces in the middle here that you could park in permanently. You can move over here to this parking lot. You can park here in lot 25. You can park across the street in these lots here, over in lot 35. There's a number of different lots you can park at. You can even park in the garage if let's say you're living in Pinnacle, right? And that's much more convenient for you on a regular basis. But there's one area that you cannot park in. Do you know what it is, Julia?
Ooh, I don't know. I mean, I
Oh,
park
you
everywhere
know.
my permit allows me to. Oh, yes. Okay. I didn't know if you meant a
What
specific
is
lot.
it?
The ADA parking spaces and the metered spaces and anything that has
Yes.
signage that says "Do not park here."
Yes. We have a number of spaces that are ADA accessible spaces, unless you have a state issued ID placard or a license plate for them, you cannot park in those spaces. Our parking enforcement officers will be around. They do check that. So I stress this as much as I possibly can. Please do not park in those spaces unless you are authorized to do so.
Yes. Thank you for pointing that
So
out.
one other parking lot you can't park in. Do you remember?
Oh no, I feel like I'm being tested live on air here.
No, it's okay. Publix.
Of course.
You absolutely cannot park in Publix parking lot. That is a private lot for customers. If you need to do some shopping in Publix, absolutely you can park there. But there is no long-term parking. There's no student parking there. It is patrolled. So we ask that unless you are actively being a patron of Publix, do not park in their parking lot. So they love having students there. There's a lot of career opportunities over there, but you can't park there unless you are actually shopping there. So
Great point. Thank you for pointing that out. Andy, would you mind taking your screen and putting it full screen? I think we may be able to see the map a little bit better. I want to make sure everyone can see it clearly. If you go into the full screen of your view, let's see. I think that'll do it.
Is that better?
Looks about the same size to me, but maybe when you zoom in, it'll be a little bit better.
Okay.
All right, perfect.
So,
Let's make sure that you can.
All right, so how's that? Is that look a little bit better?
That looks good. Thank you.
Audience, are you good? Can you see?
Yeah, we need some audience feedback. All right, thank you. So we are now through Zone 1, Cypress Apartments, Beacon, Endeavor, Horizon, Pinnacle, and Summit. So that's how to get there from specifically the Yingling Center when you're arriving the 16th through the 21st. When you're arriving the 22nd and 23rd, you do need to park to go get your keys from the service desk and then go and move your vehicle to a place that does not have the unloading zone only signs. So those
Correct.
zone maps will also be able to help you with finding your way to where would be the most convenient place for your parking and your unloading. So
Absolutely.
Next, let's jump into Zone 2 for Hawley Apartments. And let me see if I can find some questions here. We're getting a lot of audience participation. Thank you so much to everyone asking your questions.
Yeah.
We do have a lot of questions about COVID-19 testing. I did want to point out that we see your questions. We are going to cover that at the end of the broadcast. So just hang tight and we'll get to those soon. Let's see. Okay, so one of the questions that we got while you were talking, Andy, is from Jaden asking if Bull Hall volunteers can check out a cart on the 15th. Yes, Jaden, Bull Hall volunteers definitely can. So those are going to be at the service desk. If you ask for one, we'll be able to provide one for you. Like Andy said, those are limited and you are encouraged to bring your own if you can and if you're able. But of course, we do have them available for those that do need them. And let's see what else we have here. Allison is asking if I already have a USF ID. Do I need to get a new one this year? No, those instructions are just for the first time in college students, the new students that need to have a brand new ID. And Andy, I'm not sure if you know the answer to this question. This might be one specifically for cards, USF ID card services, but Jamie is asking, are we able to pick up our USF IDs this week?
I believe that you can. I would check their website or call them to get some more specifics on where. I apologize. I don't know where exactly they will have it, but I'm sure that if you contact them, they will be able to help you find a location to pick up.
Yeah, that was going to be my recommendation as well. Let's see.
Let me just add one other thing. I mentioned that a lot of our USF staff are still working remotely. Email is probably the best. And I apologize, I don't know what their email address is, but I'm sure it's on their website, and that's probably the best way to reach them.
All right, perfect. I think that we do also have their contact information and their website listed on our move-in page too. Okay, so let's jump into zone 2. Let's talk about Holly Apartments. This one's unique because the unloading zone is in a special area, right?
It is. So our unloading zone is along Holly Drive. And for those of you who have not been into campus and have seen Holly Drive, it's 4 lanes. It's 2 lanes going eastbound, 2 lanes going westbound. And so usually the outer lanes, in the direction in which you are traveling, right? So this northern lane that's along Holly A, B, and C, that is an unloading zone, and you must be facing in the westbound direction. So I'm trying to figure out how to say that, but you must be facing towards the parking garage. Okay. Mm-hmm. If you are which everybody should be coming up this way. So you cannot cross onto, like, let's say the south side of the street where Holly D and E, F, and G are, and park opposite the oncoming flow of traffic. I hope that makes sense. So it's traffic law, and it's a safety matter. So our USF police officers will be there. They will be monitoring to make sure everybody's moving safely through. But the Holly Drive is a 30-minute unloading zone. In the years past, the last 2 years, we've had Holly Drive be a one-way. We will not have it be a one-way this year. It will be normal flow of traffic, 2 directions of east and westbound. So please take caution as you're parking and unloading. In that zone, we will have 2 security officers who will be present that will be stationed at the crosswalks. And the crosswalk is right here in between Holly E and F, and over here by Holly G and Cypress. And so and then right here there's a traffic signal, crosswalk signal to help you navigate safely. But there will help folks be able to move safely across campus. So once you get unloaded in that zone, again, as quickly as you can and as safely as you can, and then we'd ask that you move your vehicle so that our other bulls can get into those spaces and get moved. But there is loads of parking in the parking garage, which is right here. This is the Crescent Hill parking garage. And so you can literally turn at the traffic light right here, come down to the first level and find a space. But do remember that there are different designations of parking permits on the different levels. But there is a nice big 3-foot tall, 9-foot wide, banner of some sorts that indicates which levels you can park on. So just find a parking spot and then you'll be good to go. So.
And Angie's asking for August 22nd specifically, so the weekend, should we drop the student off at check-in and head to their assigned apartment and wait until the student gets the keys?
I would ask that you not do that specifically along Holly Drive, because what will happen is it will just clog up traffic. As we have more people waiting than we have the ability to unload the vehicles. If it is that you could find a safe space to park and hang out, whether that's in the garage until your student gets their keys, then I'm sorry about that, y'all. Then find a place along Holly to park and unload, and then move your vehicle back. So that would be my recommendation.
Yeah, I think that the question specifically was, should we drop the student off at check-in and wait for them at their apartment? So leave them at their check-in and move the vehicle over to the apartment and the parking. And just to give you a heads up, I'm not sure on your end if you have moved your map, but it looks a little pixelated on our end coming through.
Oh, no, I haven't. But
it's fixing itself, I believe. But I think that there it is. Okay, it's clear on our end now. All
right. So I was sorry. I moved it a little bit to see if we could reposition it. Yes, you certainly can drop your student off. I would just not ask that you park in an unloading zone until your student arrives with you. Then that way it's a fast process because you can't enter the building and you can't get into the room until the student arrives with the key.
Right. And Christine's asking, can we come back on campus later in the day so we're able to take our students shopping?
You can, but we are asking that if you are not a resident, that you just that you drop off your student. Absolutely, you can take them shopping, but then we would prefer you not to re-enter the building. I understand that's a strong desire. I was helping a friend of mine who is moving into another institution more up north, and I was giving her some tips and tricks, and I was trying to help her get through it because this is her first child. So I know that that's a strong desire, but if you can do any of your shopping in advance, that would be what's recommended. That way it's all in one time that you can bring in everything that you need for the room and get it all set up in advance all at one time. So we are asking folks that are non-residents, so whether that's mom and dad, family members, aunts, uncles, friends, whomever, that at the noon time and at the 4 p.m. that you exit the building. This allows enough time for us to get in and allow folks to move out and then start in the next round of students and families who are moving in. So again, my recommendation is buy as much as you can in advance, take it all in during your move-in time, get it all set up. But we understand that there may be things that you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't think about that. That happens, but we would just ask that non-residents do not re-enter the building. So.
Great.
We have some really great schematics and three-dimensional drawings and things like that on our website. A lot of measured out dimensions, things like that on there as well. So, and there's a lot of resources on our YouTube channel regarding what the space looks like, the type of furniture that's in there, things like that. I would encourage everyone to review it just to make sure that you have everything you think you want for your room to make it your own space. And then I think on the some of the literature that's been out there is some of the things to think about bringing and then things to leave at home. So,
all right, great. So I want to, looking at the time, I want to make sure that we can get through the rest of our points and then the questions that have been coming in as well. So let's shift over to zones 3 through 5. If you want to give just a pretty quick overview of what that'll look like. That way we can get into some of these questions.
Sure. So zone 3 looks a little different. I'm going to have to leave this one zoomed out. But again, moving over here from the Yingling Center, and then you're going to come back up Alumni Drive. And this seems like a very long way to go back to the Marshall Student Center area, but it is one of the fastest routes due to the way the traffic flow and patterns are. So you'll come down Alumni Drive, you'll turn right onto Magnolia, and then you're going to turn right onto Holly Drive. And Holly Drive is very long. It literally extends from one end of campus to the other from an east-west perspective. But you'll come down Holly Drive, and then you'll come around a little bit of a 90-degree turn, and you'll hit a traffic light here. You're going to turn right at this traffic light, and now here's when I'll zoom in a little bit and move us up. How's the pixelation? Is it okay?
Yeah, looks great.
All right, so we're going to make this traffic light here. We're going to turn right, and then we'll turn right to come down Cedar Drive. There's a 30-minute unloading zone here in Lot 5A. It is along this side of the spaces, and it should be the front row of the middle area. Everything along the edge here is all going to be ADA parking. I think there may be a couple of resident spaces, but it's mostly ADA. This is a great access point for Kosov Hall and for Castor to help get things unloaded and moved in relatively quickly. There's entrances on this side as well as this side. I know a lot of folks, especially our returners, they're thinking that or would like to come down Myrtle Drive. We're going to ask that you not come down Myrtle Drive. This area always gets incredibly congested between service vehicles and residents and family member vehicles that it just becomes almost a gridlock. So, but if you go into Lot 5A here, You can unload quickly and get moved in, and then you can move right back up Cedar Drive and enter in this entrance that's on the west side of Crescent Hill Parking Garage, and then find a parking space up there. So
perfect. All right, let's jump into zone 4, Beta Maple.
4? Mm-hmm. All right. So moving through, again, moving right up Genshaft Drive, going northbound, we will see that there's a lot right here, and I'm going to zoom in on it. And so this is lot 5E. This area, we've asked for this line here and down here to be our unloading zones. And there are plenty of nice sidewalks that will lead you both to Maple A and B and through there. So again, there's all unloading zones. And if you could quickly just move, there's a lot of parking in the middle here. And then this entire parking lot is dedicated to resident and student passes. So there's a lot of spaces in here that can be parked as well. Or you can park across the street over here in lot 35 as your permanent.
All right.
I think our last one is zone 5 down at Juniper Poplar. Just like we did with moving in zone 3, we'll come down Alumni Drive. And then there's a couple of different ways that you can get. I'm going to zoom in now here on this area. And let's make sure everybody sees. So depending on where you are living, right? So you may be living in the Magnolia complex. Lot 47A is a great area, especially if you're living in Magnolia C or D, and you can unload quickly. There are lots of nice flat sidewalks to get through there. You can also park in the Beard Garage, depending on how much you're bringing. If it is, it's more convenient for Magnolia E and F residents. But we do have unloading spaces designated in lot 47. For our Magnolia residents. There's also across the street here, I don't think we quite have it, but this lot, there's a lot right in here that is a part of lot 47. Residents can also park over here as well. And we will have a crossing security guard to station at this crosswalk to help folks cross Magnolia Drive safely. So that's another area as well. The last one is going to be parking lot 24, and we will have designated spaces in this lot for unloading, just like on the rest. But this is also the home of the Juniper Poplar service desk, and so you can get your cart checkout from here. If you're coming in on the 22nd or 23rd, you will pick up your keys from this area, but then you will be all set to move into Juniper and Poplar from lot 24. But we would ask, at least for this week, while we have unloading zones in place, please do not park in them. You may park here in the Beard Garage. And I believe that there's some are parking over here in this lot, but I can't be 100%. But I recommend the Beard Garage because it's, I think, 7 or 8 stories tall. It's a big one.
Mm-hmm. Great. And I would like to remind everyone watching that all of these maps, if you're just now joining us, as Andy said before, all of them are available on our website. And on the move-in page that you can find all of them, and then make sure that you have them and reference them before you come to campus. There are a couple of questions from the audience, Andy, that I'd like to talk about while we have the maps in front of us so that you can point out the answers to some of them. So the first one we have from Stephanie. Stephanie's asking, is it okay for us to send packages to our mail center for us to pick up during our move-in day? So great question. I wanted to point out where those mail centers are since we have the map in front of us.
Absolutely. We've already actually started receiving packages for our residents. We know that people are sending stuff from Amazon and different things like that. But we have 2 main locations for residential mail-in packages. That is, I'm going to zoom in here just on this corner here, but that is going to be right here at Holly H. The main entrance is on the Holly Drive side, and it'll say the North Package Pickup Center. And so you can stop in there and receive your mail. The other here is down in Juniper Poplar, and it is more on this end of the space on the first floor near the laundry. I know a lot of folks like to stop right into the service desk location, but we actually have a separate window down here for Juniper Poplar residents for mail-in packages.
Great, thank you. And Allison is asking which dining halls and restaurants on campus are open, and are they open after we move in? So you don't have to point out every single dining hall, but it might be helpful just to point out where the main ones are and when meal plans are activated.
Yeah, I think there's actually like 40 different places to eat on campus. I may be low in that number, but you will never be hungry here. But our three main dining halls that we have on campus are going to be here in the hub. So I'm going to zoom in and move around a little bit. But the hub, which is right here. And again, this is a service desk location. So right here in this one little corner where it's tan, that is actually the office area, but this entire rest of the space is the hub dining hall. And so you can eat there. You can also eat down here on the back side between Recreation and the Yingling Center is Champion's Choice. And down here on the first floor is Juniper Dining. So those are the three main dining halls. Two other ones to really point out is the Marshall Student Center, the food court that's there, the Chick-fil-A, Top of the Palms. And then over in Argos, here in RAR, we have the Argos Exchange, which is a rotating menu of items that can be eaten out of there, as well as a coffee shop. So to answer your question, meal plans, the agreement actually starts on the 20th, which aligns with technically the opening or the start of the housing agreements. But dining has announced today that they will actually start the meal plans, or they will be active as of the 16th. So as of Sunday, the 16th, your meal plan, if you are moving in, will be active. And so I saw earlier that the director of USF Dining's marketing team has made that announcement. And so that is great news for all of our meal plan holders and our dining dollar holders.
Absolutely. And I know that information that you just said, too, is listed on their website. So if anyone watching wants to learn more, that's a great place to go and find all of the different locations that will be open and when and the hours. And they've also released a very detailed plan for their health and safety precautions throughout the fall semester, what their plan is.
Yep, absolutely.
So another question for you, Andy, while you have the map up in front of you, Becky is asking, where can we park if we would like to visit campus before or after our move-in appointment? So what is the parking protocol for those that are arriving outside of their move-in appointment?
Becky, I guess that depends on what your business is or what your needs are when you're on campus, right? Because if it was that you're going to, somewhere over in athletics, right? This is the athletics area. You're going to want to park in lot 6. If you need something from, let's say, financial aid, and you need to, meet with someone in financial aid, you're going to park here in the Collins garage. So it really depends on what your needs are and where you're going to park. I would recommend that if you already have your parking pass, to make sure that that's displayed and park in that designated area. If not, that there are daily passes that you can buy for different areas, such as the Collins garage. There's also metered spaces that you can pay by, I think, the half hour or the hour. But after you have moved in, you would want to park on a lot that's closest to your residence hall. And so that could be a lot 56, it could be a lot 17, depending on where you live. But as long as it is designated as an R space, then you are going to be just fine.
Wonderful. So I believe those are the questions that we have that are related to the maps. So I'm going to move into some additional questions from our audience members, and then some pre-planned questions that we have as well. Carrie's asking a follow-up to the mail center question that we were getting. Where can we find the address to the building where packages are to be delivered?
So I'm going to ask you, correct me if I'm wrong, Julia, but I believe that we have that available in the housing portal, as well as there are some mail instructions on our website.
Yes.
And so I would encourage you to visit both of those areas to make sure that you have the proper address. But I believe when you go through the housing portal, you can plug in your information to a form and actually see what your mailing address should be. But then we have some additional instructions that we'd like you to check out on our website. I just want to comment real quick while we're on mail. Please make sure that when you order things through Amazon, that you uncheck the box. I believe it says something along the lines like, it's okay to leave my package on a Saturday or a Sunday. We have had some experiences where couriers will drop off Amazon packages when our mail center is not open. And so that's a big safety issue for us and a security issue for your package. So please just make sure you kind of uncheck that. So that way we can receive them during our open hours and our business hours. So that way our staff is there and we can actually take possession of your package as it's delivered.
Absolutely. So I'm going to try to get through just a few more that I flagged here to go through with you, and then we're going to jump into information regarding testing, and then we'll be able to wrap up for the night. But for the first question that I have marked for you, Andy, Jade is asking, are there going to be more in-depth roommate agreements now with COVID that maybe outline the different protocols that are set in place with visitors or anything like that? Didn't know if there was information we can share on that end.
Yeah, so what I would recommend is review the addendum section on our contracts webpage. So if you go to the usf.edu/housing and you go to, I think it's resources and contracts and forms, and then click on the addendum. There are some additional items that we've had to put in place to make sure that we try to protect the residential community as much as possible. I would encourage you to review those again because it does talk about visitation. It talks about a couple of other things, lounges not being available until we hit certain phases, things like that. My colleagues over in residential education may have done something a little differently with the roommate agreements that they typically work through with roommates at the beginning of each year. But more information on that will come probably from your resident assistant or your residence life coordinator, who is the full-time professional staff member who lives in the halls. If you have very specific questions about those types of things, I would encourage you to reach out to your RLC. I believe we'll be sending out, or if you haven't already gotten, some personalized messages from your RLC in the near future or here in the recent past.
Yeah, those went out this week and last week. So the RLCs of each building, they've been in communication with all of the incoming residents. So that's a great idea to reach out directly to them if you have any questions related to that. And then that also answers Sid's question that's asking about visitation. What are the new protocols set in place for that? So I would just encourage them to also take a look at the language of the addendum that outlines that.
Yeah. So I just want to answer Sid's real quick because his is an important one, because one of the things about living on campus is building community. And unfortunately with COVID-19, it's a different type of community this year. And so Sid, while we want you to have visitors at this time, we can't allow visitors from other buildings or outside guests to come into the residence halls. It is, again, for the safety of you and your community and the community you live in. And so we would ask that you respect that. The other thing is that we ask that you limit the number of people that are in your physical room at any one time, right? I think it is limited to one guest per occupant. So if you and your roommate each have one guest, there shouldn't be any more than 4 individuals in that room at one time. And in this instance, when I refer to guests, it's other individuals who live within that building. So let's say you live in Beta Hall, right? A friend from down the hall or another floor comes up to your room. That is your one and only guest that you can have in your room. So within that context of residents who live within the same building. So
right. Okay, great. And another important question that I thought we should get to before we get into testing is Jada's asking, what measurements are being taken on campus to limit outbreaks from occurring within the dorms?
Great question. One of the biggest things we can do to prevent that is to wear our masks. It is a universe, as you can see right now, Julia has her mask on, and because she is not in an environment where social distancing is possible, right? Living in a residence hall, it's very difficult to create that type of environment without using your protection, your mask, right? So if it is that you leave outside of your room or your door is open, then you really need to have your masks on. And that is for your protection and the protection of the community. But we've had some advanced training throughout campus, right? So not only housing and residential education staff members, but facilities management, everybody who takes care of the campus in sanitization. And if you haven't seen some of the videos that have been produced about how we are preparing, that is a great series to see. And I think that is on the USF homepage, but I would encourage you to look at those. We are marking off spaces of areas to provide social distancing. Extra cleanings are happening throughout campus. What I thought was one of the coolest things was there's a hand sanitizer vending machine that provides, I think, up to 2 free bottles of hand sanitizer per month to students, faculty, and staff. I thought that was awesome. So there are a number of protocols that we're out there that we're doing everything we can to make it a safe environment on campus. But it's a community effort, right? We all have to do our part to protect ourselves and our fellow bulls. So
absolutely agreed. Okay, so we didn't get through all of the audience questions. We'll do our best to go through on the back end and answer your questions as we can through the comments. And before we go tonight, though, I do want to talk about COVID-19 testing and the return to campus assessment so that we can provide an update from the housing standpoint to those that are watching and have questions. So Andy, can you do a quick overview of the required testing and how to submit your results?
Absolutely. So every student is required to do the return to campus assessment. Every resident is also required to do it and submit a negative test result for a test that was taken between July 29th and August 13th. That's the 2-week window. Keep this in mind, right? There are 50,000 students, I think, throughout the university system or the University of South Florida, right? That's a lot of assessments to go through by our student health services staff members. And so they are doing that as quickly as they possibly can and following up on any instances. The most important thing is that you make sure that you at least start that assessment, that you have gotten in line to get your test, and that you submit those test results as soon as you possibly can. The staff is taking about 48 hours to review those incidents, right? Because that's what it's kind of called within our world, and making sure that everything is cleared before they can actually clear you in the assessment tool app. And so they are working as quickly as they possibly can. We are working closely with them to monitor the numbers of residents that are in the cleared process. And we actually, I believe, we're sending out notices today reminding residents that they need to be cleared before we can issue a room key to them. That is a university mandate. And our partners over at Student Health Services, again, are doing the very best they can to process as fast as they possibly can. They've actually added staff over the last couple of days and resources to evaluating all of the assessments and the results that are coming in to help clear up that queue as quickly as possible. So I know that a lot of questions, as I was talking with my colleagues over in SHS, some of the questions that they get, which is the most common, is, well, how do I upload my results? What if I have to do a test a second time? How do I do that? And the biggest thing that they wanted me to make sure that you knew is once you open up that assessment tool, right, through the emails that they've been sending you, you click on Update Incident, and then you'll see a box where it says Upload Results. Once you do that, then you click the update incident, and then they get notified of it. The way that they will communicate through you is they will make their notes, they will do their clearances, anything that they need you to know through the assessment tool. But that will come to you as a student in your USF email. So it is vital that you check your USF email. I would say from now until the start of school, 2 to 3 times a day to make sure that you are up to date on everything. If there is some kind of outlier condition, something that you need to know about that's not found on the FAQs, then I would encourage you to email them at info@USF. No, that's not right. What is that?
It's listed on our website. I do know that at the top of it, but I don't know the email off the top of my head. I can also drop it in the comments of the thread so that everyone has access to it. But I think that the biggest
it totally just went.
The biggest question that I'm seeing through the audience members, as well as what I had prepared to ask you, is if your assessment says you are not cleared to be on campus yet, what should you do? So to confirm, you should not be coming to campus to pick up your keys. You should not be moving in.
No, you should not be coming to campus unless you have an all clear on that app. And it'll say in there, it's in bright green letters, cleared. That is the only way that we can issue you keys. We get that information from Student Health Services. That is not a decision that housing can make to say, oh yeah, you're cleared or you're not cleared. There's a very strict protocol in place evaluating those cleared and not cleared. And unless you get cleared from Student Health Services, housing cannot issue you a key. And so you should not even come to campus. Now, I know the next question is, well, I'm supposed to move in on Sunday, right? And I still don't have an all clear. It's now Friday. I still don't have an all clear. It's Saturday. I still don't have an all clear. Then you need to go into the housing portal and you need to select a new move-in sign-up time. All right. That, like I said, there's a lot of days, a lot of time slots available on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, some on Sunday the 23rd. You need to select a new time slot. We cannot move you in. We cannot issue you a key until you have that all cleared. And I don't want you to waste your time making a drive or packing up your car or doing whatever you can without having that all cleared. I know one of the other issues is that we're seeing is that some students are saying, well, I can't get a test. I may not be able to afford it. The line's not maybe too long, or results, whatever the issue is. If you are within the area, Student Health Services can help you with a test. If it is that you need a test mailed to you, they can do that as well. But it's important to know that at this time frame, it's unlikely that you can get it mailed to you, taken, evaluated, and cleared by the time you move in on, let's say, Sunday or Monday. So I would ask, just as we've probably been practicing for the last 6 months in this pandemic, is grace and patience for those that are working behind the scenes trying to get this done as quickly as possible. But you know that we're all here for you. We're all trying to get you back on campus and to continue or get started your collegiate experience.
Absolutely. So I think that's a great way to end it, just reminding residents to be sure to email or call Student Health Services directly if they have any additional questions to that. And then in regards to all the other questions that we weren't able to get answered tonight on the show, we're out of time now, we'll make sure that we can go back through the comments in the next day or so and provide you an answer to your questions. So thank you so much, Andy, for taking the time to speak with us tonight. We've gone through a lot of questions and a lot of planning.
Oh, absolutely. I love this. Every year, this is like our Super Bowl in housing. We love welcoming our residents back. It's a little different this year, but it's going to still be an exceptional experience. And so we can't wait.
Absolutely. And of course, there's always one last thing, right? Go Bulls!
Go Bulls!